This is COVID-19 Chronicles. I'm Cyrus Rogers, and I'll keep you informed about the pandemic that's changing our lives forever. It's Wednesday and day 41 of our lockdown. We are still in level 4. In local news, South Africa now has 7,572 people infected with the coronavirus. 148 have died. 268,000 have been tested. Comair, the company that operates Kulula.com and British Airways in South Africa, has entered business rescue. The loss of income, since all local flights have been grounded, made it impossible for the airline to service their financial commitments. They say business rescue will allow them to save the business and continue operations after the lockdown restrictions are lifted. Oscar Mabuyane, Premier of the Eastern Cape, visited the temporary hospital set up in the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium yesterday. The hospital now has its first COVID-19 positive patients.
Currently, we are decanting hospitals. We are creating spaces, beds, where some of these people can be isolated. We've isolated people in the eastern part of the province in hospitals, Port St. John's. We've isolated them at St. Barnabas in Lady Frey. We've isolated people at Glen Grey. Most of those are recovering in those hospitals there. I'm quite impressed with the work that I'm seeing here that has been put together with the business sector coming on board, because it's no longer only Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, but also business is also participating here. Some beds have been donated. As you would understand that now we're talking about 250 beds that are available here, and with the current intake of about 27 people already staying here. So that shows this is working, and it will be maturing with time. So we've got to intensify the solidarity approach on this fight against the COVID-19. It's not an easy thing, it's a really challenging. We're dealing with a moving target. Every day our numbers are getting up and up. So we've got to find a way to arrest them.
Later in our feature section, we bring you a COVID-19 Chronicles exclusive. We interviewed some of the patients. In international news, worldwide, there are almost 3.7 million people infected with the coronavirus. 258,000 have died and 1.24 million have recovered. The coronavirus might have started in Europe much earlier than previously thought. French doctors discovered the virus when they dissected a corpse in a Paris suburb. The victim died in December 2019 from what is now believed to be COVID-19. If their initial results are verified, it means that the virus reached Europe a month earlier than previously thought. In our interview section, the coronavirus pandemic has changed the way we communicate. This means PR companies have to find new ways to reach their audiences. Patrick Gearing is the CEO of Meropa Communications, a PR firm recognized by the Holmes Report as one of the 250 best in the world and the only South African PR company to make the list. He's here to talk about the impact of the coronavirus on his industry. Patrick, thank you for joining us. I'd like to start by asking you, when we look at the coronavirus and the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you see corporate South Africa having dealt with this? Have they done the communications around this correctly? And what sort of advice would you have had for corporate clients?
Corporates have had an enormous challenge trying to navigate their communications around this. It's a fine balance between how overt are you and therefore cheesy versus how do you grapple with or grab the opportunity of being authentic and build a whole lot of brand trust in the way that you communicate your brand. So clearly it's not a time to sell, but it is an enormous opportunity to really build some brand equity. And audiences are going to remember how brands behaved in this time. But the danger of it is that everybody just does the vanilla same thing. We're safe, we're healthy, we're clean, we're doing this, we support the government, and that's all just doesn't really help. So the real trick of, I think, the corporates who have stood out in this time are the ones who've really differentiated their message and been able to break through the clutter and really stand out. And there have been, I think, really good successes of that, and I think spectacular fails as well.
So would you say the coronavirus has affected the communications industry? Will it ever be the same again? Or do you think it's just sort of like having to deal with what's coming next?
So behaviors have certainly changed. the way that audiences consume messages have changed. But they still want stories. And the crux of it is that storytelling doesn't go away. They might be even hungrier now for stories because we're inclusive beings as humans. We're going to be affected and we are missing the social interactions. But we have more time to engage with information. And so audiences, I think, are taking on an enormous amount more information. There are loads of online channels. Social media is enormously prevalent. Therein lies a challenge, how to differentiate between what's true and what's not.
So how has all of this lockdown, coronavirus, COVID-19 affected Moropa and your operations?
We're still doing the same thing. Our business hasn't changed. How we do it is vastly different.
Of course.
And we're fortunate to be able to continue working remotely where technology is a win for us. And I think if anything, we've discovered what we thought we could never do. I think businesses, all organizations have been talking about the remote working thing and flexi hours and the millennials of all these demands. And suddenly we've been forced to do it. And we've proven that we can.
And I suppose, in essence, what you're sort of getting at here is that, adjusting to the new normal is something that people have to acclimatize to. So would you say that perhaps the way the business runs at the moment is also trying to stick to what your general principles are of how communication works, but also trying to be sort of front runners in a way in terms of making it work well. So, practicing social distancing, how the office environment works, and then how do you interact with your clients?
Storytelling, communication it's a people's game, and that's, I think, been the most challenging thing for us. It's difficult to grapple with a story, to make it as engaging as you possibly can without that brainstorming, that human interaction, that real creative stimulation of what makes our content great. The story we tell is the same, we're just going to tell it in different places and at potentially different times in possibly a different way. But ultimately, we still got to make it appealing for audiences to want to engage with.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Now our feature for today. Last week, we reported on the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium being readied to house coronavirus patients. Earlier in this bulletin, we interviewed the Premier of the Eastern Cape at the new facility. Now we bring you an exclusive view from inside the stadium, and we speak to COVID-19 positive patients.
I am here because I've tested positive on coronavirus. This coronavirus, people, it is really, really not a joke. The corona is really, really serious. And then I know that some of you people, they just see corona on the television. And then you just see that, oh, me, I won't get it. But when you get corona, you will start to have short of breath. You can't even breathe when you have corona. You have a sore throat. You have everything. And corona, it really, really does kill. Please, guys, let's stay at home.
This is not a joke, guys. This is serious. We did sanitize. We did put on our mask. We did put on the gloves. We did all those things that the government was saying, but yet we are here. So this is not a joke. This is serious. We are here. We don't see our families, and this is not good because we leave them there, and then we come here, and then we stay here alone. So this is not nice. We have our mothers, our brothers and sisters, those that are going to miss us, but they can't see us. So this is serious.
Our Vox Pop section allows you to share your views on the coronavirus and lockdown. This is what you had to say.
I mean, I'm satisfied with the shops opening up, but as far as measures put in place, I don't see how that's going to work.
Well, my experience, it hasn't changed much from the level 5. Personally, I'm lucky because I'm still earning an income, but I mean, from what I've seen is that they've been very vague about what constitutes a level 4. And personally, I feel a lot of people are unnecessarily suffering.
Join us again tomorrow for another episode of COVID-19 Chronicles and Stories That Matter. Stay indoors, Stay safe, stay healthy.